Sundby with some work to do. Sundby 7 seconds behind Polteranin at 3.4 kilometers. Polteranin and Röning travelling at about the same speed. And just looking further up the field, Röning just losing a little bit at around 6 kilometers to Polteranin, who's staying pretty tough. And Bezmetnik of Russia through the 5th checkpoint time at 8.4 kilometers in just under 20 minutes. Halvarsen 4 seconds, 5 seconds down on Polteranin at 5 kilometers. Really nice shot, which shows a variety of the terrain here in Lahti, but you can feel, even looking at those pictures, how humid it is. It's wet out there, the snow is soft, it's a pretty hard journey. And you can see Halvarsen, who was 4.8 seconds down, and now 6.1. So Polteranin at the moment is very much our pathfinder in the race. He's now the man that we need to latch on to and watch his progress and relate back to everybody else. Alex Harvey, by the way, of Canada, travelling at the same speed as Halvarsen, Bezmetnik, and also Finn Hågen Krogh, 6 to 8 seconds, 9 seconds behind Polteranin. Petter Northug, you could include that. Petter Northug at 6.2 kilometers would be 10 seconds off the lead. Lucas Bauer just a little bit quicker. But that sort of deficit can be recaptured. No question about that. Lars Nelson. Early on, I had him about 10 seconds behind Polteranin. Now, hasn't gained anything. Or has he gained the odd second? Well, he has. That's a 3-second gain in the last 1,200 meters. So starting out sprightly on the second rotation. And the odd slip, but otherwise looking pretty good, Lars Nelson, as they watch the early starters coming into the stadium for the finish. And double polling here. This is Nunget from Norway, Nunget, wearing bib number 8. Hakola, you can see, has already finished the started 35 minutes 18. And new leader. I think we'll see quite a few on the floor. Just 22 years of age, so recently back from the under-23 Worlds in Almaty, where he finished 5th in the Sprint Classic final. But getting I think you would say congratulations. Now Sundby. Now Sundby's definitely more than 10 seconds off here. You would think, oh no, not as bad. 6.9 seconds. So that's something of a recovery coming out of the stadium for the second time. And this time he looks so much more positive. Found his rhythm and really nice. The shoulders over the knees, getting the power down. And this looks a much happier Martin Jonsrud Sundby. Polteranin now still with the lead at 8.4 kilometers, 4 seconds ahead of Röning, and Dietmar Knockler a similar distance back on the clock. Likewise, Halvarsen and Nunget, who you can see is at the top of that table at 8.4 kilometers, so roughly half distance. He was actually 5 seconds slower than Poltaranin. So that gives you an idea why he was getting a big pat on the back, because that's a very decent run. And this is Matthias Rundgren, another of the promising Norwegians involved in the sprint yesterday, and again another man who's been making a name for himself in the under-23 worlds. Last year in Val di Fiemme, the bronze medal in the 15-kilometer classic. This man, today's distance, today's discipline, mid-20s. But such is the depth of talent. Rundgren at the moment having, like most of the Norwegians, really having to fight for a place in these World Cup races, and knowing that only success will allow his continuance. But it's a promising performance at the moment from him. Eldar Röning. Again, this will give us a very good barometer. Röning 4 or 5 seconds down on Poltaranin, and coming up now with 1,600 meters to go. And you can see how good the time of the current leader Nunget is. Röning punching out, looking strong, coming out of the tracks there to pass a bit of traffic. And that bit of traffic, by the way, included Lucas Bauer, that Röning was running past there. Knockler, another man with just a little bit more than 1,600 meters to go, wearing bib number 23. So Nunget's time certainly going to come under attack. Knockler and Nunget separated only by 0.7 of a second at the half distance. Knockler, though, you can see now how much better that Nunget did in the second half of the competition. It really is shaping up very well for him, and a lifetime best on the cards. And just worth mentioning that he's only had one World Cup race before today. That's the current leader. Rundgren there into second place. That is a decent result there, just 20 seconds off his Norwegian teammate, but it's so competitive. Just looking further up the course there at 6 kilometers, sorry, checkpoint 6, which was 10 kilometers. Second time through the stadium, Nunget and Röning were still very much together. Besmertnik, Knockler, but when you go further up the course, 11.2 kilometers, it's actually De Fabiani who's in the lead, and now Röning coming home has the top bend to negotiate, and it's all about Norwegian racers at the moment in this 50-kilometer classic. I can tell you that Northug is still only about 8 seconds off the lead. And at 10 kilometers, Nguyen, I'll give you a rundown in a moment here. Let's see running, and his scalp's being taken. And second place, so it's a 1-2-3 Norwegian leaderboard. But just let me tell you, at 10 kilometers, Nguyen 400ths ahead of Röning, 1.2 ahead of Vesmertnik, and Fabiani and Parkkonen. So the leaderboard changing rapidly. But let me just Nguyen, Vesmertnik, Nurkler, Polteranin was 2 seconds down on Nguyen at 10 kilometers. So they're really racing home now, and this is Nurkler and Fabiani. And Nurkler leaking time to Fabiani, the much stronger finisher for the Italians. Finished just outside the top 30, did Fabiani last Sunday in the 50-kilometer race. But leads, there's that classic turn. Haven't seen too much of that. The traditional big turn. Joijärvi getting a big cheer as well. So Joijärvi, good strong finish, but as you can see, not going to push De Fabiani out of the warm chair as the current leader. Nguyen down to third place, but that's a top finish performance by Sami Joijärvi. He has raced well, not sparingly, but neither has he been racing intensively. Finn Krogh, and you can see more than 140 meters behind Fabiani, and he's not going to make the podium either. The Fabiani is the man who really has made the headline here. Francesco De Fabiani. ...21 years of age, and this is a tremendously promising performance by him. Just looking at De Fabiani's best results prior to today, and when you look at those, you're still looking at effectively performances in the juniors and the Alpen Cup. So this is a real step up there. He's been very successful at that level in terms of World Cup. There is the current leader, World Cup so far for De Fabiani. Yeah, just to reflect on that, De Fabiani in the Tour de Ski this year in the 15-kilometer mass start stage in Val di Fiemme, 7th, which is very much his best World Cup performance. Also 13th right at the beginning of the season in Ruka. So clearly this is a distance and a discipline in which De Fabiani finds himself in strong company, but is very effective. De Fabiani, Joijärvi, Nguyen in the finish box at the moment. Nurkler, Italy in 4th place. Then Röning, 5. And there is your current leader. Just trying to take a look at where we might be in terms of Poltaranin. Started so strongly. Well, there's the man at the moment, and I said right at the beginning of this race, it's thrown up virtually 10 different winners in the last 10 editions of 15-kilometer classic racing. And you can see he's still recovering from the effort that he put in, so a tremendously fast finish there by Francesco De Fabiani. So who could get at him, I wonder? Well, it's looking interesting out there. Andrew Musgrave at 11.2 kilometers was just over a minute behind Francesco De Fabiani, and the former 15-kilometer classic world champion from Oslo 2011 coming home. And Heikkinen hasn't been his season, and Järvi will definitely stay as the best of the Finns. Just having a look at Poltaranin. Poltaranin at 11.2 kilometers was only 3 seconds down on De Fabiani. So there's some key men to come home. Alex Harvey. Well, just top 10, so he's been consistent, Alex, and of course flew the Canadian flag at the World Championships with 2 individual medals. And here comes Poltaranin, and you can see once again going down that back straight. Running out of time, and Poltaranin into second place. So between 11.2 kilometers and the finish there, Poltaranin may be losing about a second. And Järvi going into third place. And then get down to third, but still on the podium and with the possibility of a lifetime best. Andrew Musgrave at 13.4 kilometers, and again the deficit had grown there. 1:22.5, running in about 22nd place. I was really hoping for a top 20 finish for Andy today. And Lucas Bauer, 1600 meters to try and do something about a deficit, as you can see there behind De Fabiani. And there's no doubt that these earlier you started, probably the better conditions you had, but perhaps that would be a little unjust to Fabiani, who's looking ever so good at the moment for, well, a first ever World Cup podium, and who knows, a victory as well. Just trying to track one or two others here. So 1600 meters to go. Peter Northug. If I go back to 11.2, Peter Northug's got to find 13 seconds to be back on terms with De Fabiani. So he really needs to motor now between 11.2 and 13.4 to really cut into that deficit. And here is Northug with the whole stadium to negotiate. Colonia, again a candidate for honours in the distance crystal globe, and well, again, look at that, 11 seconds to find in 1600 metres. This is a very big question, and these men being forced to work extremely hard. Peter Northug coming towards the line here, and as I said, he was 13 seconds behind, and he's found absolutely nothing in the last 4,800 metres. So this has not been a profitable weekend for Peter Northug. Yesterday he lost his chance to go and keep himself alive in the race for the sprint globe, and also more importantly the overall World Cup. As you see, the man who has already secured the World Cup for the 2015 season, Martin Jonsrud, dominated the season up to the World Championships. Then the preparations for the World Championships went awry. So the man who won the overall World Cup last year retains the title. And Lucas Bauer, another man who's not managed to respond to the really spirited finish of the Italian. So De Fabiani looking better and better in that first place. And we haven't had an Italian winner in the last 10 races over 15 kilometres. So Bauer into 8th place, and De Fabiani now surely thinking, well, there are not too many dangers out there left. I can't see too many, and it looks as if he's going to have a famous day. Did get a victory. Should have actually said he got a victory in the classic pursuit section in Oberstdorf of this year's Tour de Ski. That was 15 kilometres classic. So this would be win number 2 for a 21-year-old Italian. Who just a year ago was finishing 11th in the under-23 World Championships. So Colonia about to lose out to the Italian. And Colonia into 5th place. Now, what is significant here for Dario Colonia is this Distance World Cup. It's a little tricky, but he was ahead of Sundby by 64 points. Now, if he stays ahead of Sundby, then that gives him a real chance of the Crystal Globe for distance, with only one competition remaining. And here is Sundby. So Sundby chasing effectively Colonia. There isn't anybody out there who's going to change De Fabiani's success, his second success of the season. Apologies for missing out on that success in the Tour de Ski when I was going through his career record earlier on, but Sundby chasing 3rd place. Remember that Colonia sitting in the top 5. There he is. And you can see that Sundby now is behind Colonia. That means Colonia is gaining points. And it's just a question of positional now. And Sunbi finishes in 10th place. So I had Colonia in 5th and Sunbi in 10th. I'll try and do a little bit of maths for you if I can. Well, it's all been about this man, De Fabiani. 5th place is worth 45 points. Well, there is the result of the day. Poltaranin in 2nd place, Järvi in 3rd. And by my reckoning, Colonia 26 from 45. What is that? That's 14-19. Call it 20 plus 64. So it's not quite over in the Distance World Cup, but Colonia even stronger now as he can look forward to the 50-kilometre classic in Oslo next weekend. But the congratulations have to go to Francesco De Fabiani. Well, a terrific race by the Italian, who deservedly takes all the honours. And Colonia in 5th and Sunbi in 10th. I can confirm that now, as there is just one distance race left in the World Cup for the men.